She told me I'm too independent for marriage, so I sold the house and moved on. Now she wants back in, but I'm not that man anymore. I never thought I'd be typing this out for strangers on the internet, but maybe this is easier, putting it into words, getting it out of my head. My name's Daniel, I'm 35 now, but this started last winter when I was still 34 and married to someone I thought I knew. Her name is Lena. We were married for 7 years. We met at a leadership retreat in our late 20s, one of those networking weekends where everyone's half trying to sell themselves and half hoping to meet someone interesting. We clicked instantly. For most of our marriage, Lena was fiercely independent. I admired that about her. She never needed anyone to prop her up. She managed her finances, had her own circle of friends, and often went on solo weekend hikes to reset. She didn't lean on me emotionally the way most people expect in a relationship. Early on, I told myself this was healthy. We weren't codependent. We respected each other's space and autonomy. But over time, it started feeling less like we were sharing a life and more like I was orbiting hers. She stopped including me in plans, dinners with friends, last-minute trips, workshops she'd signed up for. She'd just mention them in passing. Oh, I'm flying out to Denver this weekend. No discussion, no coordination. I'd nod and quietly rearrange my weekend again. We had our share of small fights. Who doesn't? But there was a pattern. Every time I brought up how distant things felt, she'd pivot the conversation to boundaries and freedom. And I understood her perspective to a point. But wasn't marriage supposed to involve mutual decisions, at least some of the time? Last December, I brought up something important. My company offered me a promotion that required relocating 2 hours away. Same employer, bigger responsibility, better pay. I sat Lena down one evening, made her dinner, and gently laid it all out. Told her I hadn't accepted yet and wanted her input. Wanted us to figure it out together. She didn't let me finish. Daniel, she said, setting her fork down, I can't keep pretending this is working for me. I'm too independent for this marriage. She said it flatly, like she was reading from a script she'd already rehearsed in her head. I asked her what that even meant. She said she was tired of checking in with someone before every decision, tired of factoring in another person's timeline and goals. Commitment, she said, felt like a burden now. I went quiet. I stared at the pot of rice on the stove, hoping it might tell me what to say. You told me this was what you wanted, I finally said. I did, she answered. But I didn't realize how much of myself I'd have to set aside to keep wanting it. That line stuck with me. Set aside, as if I'd been robbing her of her identity just by existing in the same space. The next 2 weeks were a blur. No shouting matches, no tears, just silence. I slept in the guest room. She came home later and later, offering fewer explanations. Then one day, she told me she'd be moving out after the new year. She said it casually, like she was handing over a forwarding address, not ending the life we'd built together. I didn't beg, I didn't fight, but that silence spoke louder than anything else. Lena moved out on January 4th. She left her key on the counter, her favorite coffee mug in the cabinet, and the faint smell of lavender lotion in the bathroom drawers for weeks. Funny what your brain decides to hold onto. I watched her load her things into a friend's SUV. No drama, no tears. She didn't even say goodbye, just gave me a small nod, like colleagues parting ways after a long project. Then she was gone. The house felt enormous immediately. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was hollow. I tried to stay busy, worked longer hours, joined a gym. But every time I came home, it felt like I was walking into someone else's life. A life paused mid-scene, one I hadn't agreed to. The truth is, I was grieving something I couldn't even define, not just Lena, but the version of us I believed in. I thought marriage was about growing together, adapting, choosing each other every day. She saw it differently. For her, marriage had become an obstacle course, exciting at first, then too restrictive for her pace. By late February, I started making changes. Not out of revenge, not to prove anything, but because I needed to reclaim my life. For once, I wanted full control over my space, my time, my next steps. I sold the house. Yes, the same house Lena once said had the kind of light you write poetry about. It had become a museum of a relationship that no longer existed. I moved into a new apartment. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Minimal furniture. No shared history. I also took that promotion and relocated 2 hours away. If I was going to start over, I decided to do it completely. The new role came with a team, big challenges, travel opportunities. For the first time in years, I felt energized, not distracted, but fully engaged. Meanwhile, Lena was busy documenting her journey on social media. I didn't follow her, but mutual friends sent me screenshots I hadn't asked for. There she was. Brunches with hashtags about healing, solo hikes with long captions about reclaiming her voice. She even gave a talk at some local event about women and freedom. One post read, "Choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary." That line stung a little. In her narrative, choosing herself meant stepping over us, as if commitment and individuality could never coexist. In April, she sent me a message. Simple, direct. "Hey, I saw the photos from your work trip. Looks like you're doing really well." I stared at it for a long time. No apology, no hidden meaning, just curiosity, maybe a hint of regret. I didn't reply. What could I even say? Thanks for leaving so I could finally feel free in my own life? It felt pointless. But the real twist came a few weeks later. Over drinks, a mutual friend mentioned Lena wasn't doing as well as she let on. She was struggling with rent, bouncing between freelance gigs, and complaining that people didn't understand her lifestyle. "She keeps saying she thought independence would feel better," the friend said. That stuck with me. I think some people confuse independence with cutting every tie, walking alone no matter the cost. But real independence isn't about isolation. It's about choosing your path with open eyes, knowing when to hold on and when to let go. By summer, the dust had settled for me. Work was demanding but fulfilling. I built a new routine. Morning runs in the park near my apartment, Sunday dinners with friends from my new team, solo hikes when I needed space. I wasn't living some cinematic, new chapter. But it was mine, peaceful, balanced. Then in June, Lena called, not texted, called. I was making pasta, music playing softly in the background. I didn't recognize the number at first, but her voice was instantly familiar. Calm, almost too calm. "Hey, Daniel, I hope this isn't weird. I just wanted to check in, see how you're doing." I kept it polite, said I was doing well, asked how she was, because I'm not heartless. There was a pause, then she said it quietly, like it hurt to admit, "I think I made a mistake." She didn't mean calling me. She meant leaving. She talked more freely than she ever had during our marriage. Said being on her own wasn't as empowering as she thought it would be. That she was tired of being lonely. Tired of doing everything alone. She missed us, or at least what we'd had when it worked. I let her talk. Then I told her the truth. "I'm glad you found some clarity, Lena. But I'm not the same person you left. And I don't think I want to go backward." She didn't argue, didn't cry, just said she understood. We hung up a few minutes later. I haven't heard from her since. Some days I still think of her, not with anger, just curiosity. Wondering if she's okay. Wondering if she's learned how to love someone better next time. Because even though I don't want her back, I don't wish her harm. We weren't villains to each other. Just two people with very different ideas of what a shared life should look like. I've realized independence isn't about doing everything alone. It's about knowing when to hold on, when to let go, and how to grow alongside someone without losing yourself. In the end, I didn't rebuild my life to show her what she lost. I did it because I finally understood, waiting for someone to choose me was never the same as choosing myself.